Hello and welcome back everyone to Legacy of the Duelists on Rocket Rabbit Commentaries, and in the last episode we successfully finished off all of Zeal, and now we are starting up into Arc V. And Arc V is weird, especially because, hey Yuguoh, Yuguoh is our primary protagonist, primary driving force, and he doesn't become relevant till 2/3 of the way through the show.
Variable relevance.
Hey, Sledgehammer.
I mean, his head looks like a waffle iron.
Or a trident.
Better try your best against him.
Because turning everything into a joke makes the series significantly more interesting, Mr. Gong. Yeesh.
The Yuguoh Duel School, teaching you how you can bring all of the audio excitement of a Yu-Gi-Oh game in which you have to explain what the paragraph of text says.
Aw, but Skip, we're supposed to inflict vengeance on the Sledgehammer.
His last name is Smiley. Meanwhile, on Fan Appreciation Day...
So, yeah, although we don't get to see Yuya's clown outfit, he is, for the entirety of this duel, he is actually dressed as a clown. This is because Yuya believes in something called Duel-Taining, where you duel so well that you can actually entertain the audience. So, yeah. Welcome to the tutorial for Pendulum Monsters.
Oh, thank God.
For the record, this tutorial is somewhat in-depth, but we will never need to actually know for it unless we're actually playing with Yuya, because Yuya is one of 2 characters in the entire show that ever actually uses Pendulum Monsters. So, yeah.
Let's get the most out of these Pendulum Monsters.
Alright, so the big thing that Yuya actually has for this duel, he actually has access to Performapal Whipsnake. And Performapal Whipsnake is the best Performapal monster. I will not hear otherwise. But here we're going to go through how you perform a pendulum summon. Basically, you have a number on the left and a number on the right. And the numbers in between those two are the levels that you can pendulum summon from your hand. So right now we have the ability to successfully pendulum summon levels 5, 6, and 7. So we're going to successfully pendulum summon our Odd Eyes Dragon and our Performapal Dag Daggerman.
His name is Dag.
I don't want to discard my Whipsnake. It's the best Performapal.
Yeah, we got a Scoundrel. It's a bow and arrow with hands.
Alright. And so during the end phase, our Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon activates, allowing us to send to our extra deck in order to grab... We're grabbing Stargazer, but yeah. So
that's the effect of the Odd Eyes Dragon, is to grab a Pendulum Monster from the deck.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Man, two relatively powerful level 5 monsters into a level 8 monster, Mr. Cloud. How are we going to deal with this?
That escalated quite quickly. At this point, this does feel like an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes.
Which is good, because the canon traits for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series, as this is the 5th season, the fifth different show that we've done, because while they all share a similar universe and canon, they are in themselves different shows with different characters. We get a little throwback to like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, for instance. A lot of exciting action turn after turn, but in all totality, it turns out to only be like a 4 or 5 turn game.
To be perfectly honest, yeah. At least for most of the episodes in the show. But yes,
Awesome animation.
Odd Eye's Pendulum Dragon does actually have a summoning animation. There is a specific reason for that, and it will become more clear as the series goes on. Also, we can use Friend Donkey in order to bring back our Whip Snake. Ha ha!
It's a friend and a donkey.
Now we use Whip Snake in order to cut Battle Guard down to 0 attack, and now we have game on board.
Well, how do we have game on board? He still has all of his life
because
points.
Odd Eye's Pendulum Dragon inflicts double battle damage on any monsters that it deals that it does battle with.
Interesting. Yay, we win.
Hey, Declan. Yeah, so the really weird thing about this duel is that this is the first time the public has ever actually been introduced to Pendulum Summoning specifically, and it drastically changes the landscape of Yuya's life, because he successfully Pendulum summoned during his duel against the Sledgehammer. So
they really wanted to sell on these pendulum monsters.
They do. They very much did. It's a shame that the mechanic got ousted out really, really quickly for just how terribly broken and overly complicated it is. Because, to be perfectly honest, the Performapal archetype, although it is a pendulum archetype, doesn't actually have all of the most powerful pendulum monsters, even in this series. I would go so far as to say that Yuya's other archetype, the magicians, not the perform mages, but the dimensional magicians are significantly more powerful than Performapals, to the point where they've had multiple cards in that archetype get banned. Looking at you, Astrograph.
I mean, power is one thing. What Pendulum Monsters did was they introduced too many new things on the cards at once. To this day, I still don't understand what I'm looking at. There's a part of my brain that refuses to understand what I'm looking at when I look at a Pendulum Monster, because it is so repulsive to my eyes, who have been looking at Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters with level stars and types of creatures and normal or not normal monster. That, for example, when Synchro Monsters came on the scene, they used existing card attributes in order to explain how the card works. Level stars. Is it or is it not a tuner? Does it have to be on the field? Can it be face down? Things like that. That you use the existing material so that people are already on board. Now, what we have here is a whole cast of characters in the second act of the movie that are all introduced at the same time. The audience is utterly lost, and they rapidly lose interest, feeling like they're helpless to understand what is happening.
Kind of, sort of, to be perfectly honest. Most of the time, all you really need to know for a Pendulum Monster is that it has two different modes: an effect monster mode, usually, and a continuous spell mode.
Yeah, it reminds me why flip cards in Magic the Gathering very quickly fell out of use after the Kamigawa expansion.
Oh no, the flip from Kamigawa cards were just way too fucking compressed, to be perfectly honest. Transform is honestly a better iteration of flip cards.
Right, that Transform
look, the Black Forest
came as familiar to people who saw that creatures can become different creatures as the game goes on. Some might argue that Level Up also is a different form of like transform or flipping cards. That it sets the conditions for later expansions to elaborate on the earlier ideas. Now, the problem with Pendulum Summoning and Pendulum Monsters is they had to rewrite the board on which you play the game just to include them.
Except they actually did do that, didn't they? Yeah, they added 2 additional continuous spell slots for Pendulum Monsters. I forgot that because although that is definitely a thing that they happened, that board only stuck around for about a year and a half. Once we got into frames, the board shifted again to include Link monsters.
Just way to make long-standing players like you or me feel just left out.
So we're dead. Yeah.
Yeah, we're dead. We don't, yeah, it's nice you got your little froggy in your corner spot or whatever, but he can't defend your life points if he's not in a monster zone.
Yeah.
That rule still applies, I hope.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, because I was honestly not sure for a second. Uh-oh.
He sacrificed
Witch
for
of the Black
Millennium
Forest
Scorpion
in the graveyard.
in order to get Cannon
That
Soldier
means-
Mark II. I don't think Silvio even has Pendulum Monsters aside from Time Gazer Magician in this deck. So the fact that Yuya starts with Harmonic Oscillation doesn't actually help him, like, at all. Bleh.
Block Spider, huh? And here comes Slow Burn.
Yeah, we're still leading on slow burn in order to actually progress through the campaign for the most part. Yuya's starting deck, to be perfectly honest, is not usually that bad, but it's particularly bad in this matchup because it still wants to try and bring out Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon a bunch, and it has difficulty doing that because Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon requires 2 tributes or to be successfully Pendulum Summoned. And now Silvio's got access to his Pendulum monsters. Blah.
The circuit is complete.
For another Stargazer Magician.
So he used a Stargazer Magician in order to summon a Stargazer Magician. Interesting.
Alright, Fire Darts to deal 12? 1,300 points of damage.
Stupid dice roll animation. Among the things that Legacy of the Duelist did in order to simulate tabletop activity, we are not impressed. Oh, right, because the Pendulum monsters also bear the condition of being spell type, so you can use... In some cases, you can use removal to get rid of spell or trap type cards, which can include Pendulum monsters in the Pendulum zones.
So, one of the things that annotations Gerdat is attempting to piece together is why wasn't I allowed to actually kill the Stargazer Magician? And it's actually due to a previous card effect that's not on the field at the moment that is protecting them.
Yeah. Judge.
Yeah, Pendulum Call. Pendulum Call is very factually the most broken fucking support card ever printed in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's arguably even more broken than Spellbook of Judgment. We've not actually gotten a chance to show off Spellbook of Judgment because spellbooks were never actually made it into the normal the show. But trust me when I say that Pendulum Call is potentially more broken than Spellbook of Judgment. Now we can blow them up because it's... Damn it, another Pendulum Call. Ugh.
So he discarded a card. He got 2 Pendulum cards from his deck into his hand.
Yep. And for until his next turn, those pendulum his pendulum zones cannot be destroyed by card effects. Mind you, he has got a problem now where he doesn't actually have anything of threat on his board. So.
Right, just high defense and rather mediocre attack stats.
Don't worry. Next turn, or are we going into it now? Yeah, we're going to go into Black Ship of Corn now. So, the reason we're going into Black Ship of Corn is due to an interesting thing that happened due to the second board change. You noticed that he had to special summon his 1 Stargazer Magician into the extra monster zone. Well, if you perform a Pendulum Summon using monsters from your extra deck, they have to go into the extra monster zones. And it's because now he has an extra monster zone that is full, he can't perform a Pendulum Summon at the moment.
Right, because the other one is yours.
No, because the only one that he has access to is full.
The basics. We are nailing down the basics.
Okay, so now we smack him twice. Or no, we can only smack him once because we use Black Sheep of Cornican.
That we removed his captain. See, in some games you might call the forward-most card on the table the captain.
No, it's not his
lieutenant.
commander. Especially because it's not his cards. Silvio actually stole a good portion of Yuya's deck in order to do this duel. It's why Yuya doesn't actually have access to his magician side during this duel, and is stuck with the Performapals.
I mean, I gotta give Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V credit. Is the whole magician motif very consistent with how people felt and perceive the intricacies of the pendulum system. That it's a lot of magic, it's a lot of, hey, look at this, what's that, oh boy, isn't this exciting, all in the interest of just making you feel like you're, just baffled and befuddled. And yes, they had achieved just that. I don't know how they did it. You could try explaining it to me, and I'll just nod my head and go, okay.
Don't worry, Mr. Cloud, this duel's almost over. We just gotta reset our Guardian Sphinx, wait for him to fail the Pendulum Summon again, and then we will be fine.
Why can't every duel just be like this? Oh yeah, right. Because attacking empty boards has become not the solution to Yu-Gi-Oh's problems, it is the problem.
It's not really the problem, but it is the designated end goal for literally every other deck in the game at the moment. Even though,
well, I mean,
we just got into a new ban list, and the new ban list is interesting, but we actually are just coming out of a really interesting format, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Players always have something to complain about. In the next episode, we'll continue on with Arc V and continue to complain about Pendulum Summoning. Hey, Sora. Sora has actually the coolest archetype in the entire show, and I stand by that, goddammit.
Is it Cyber?
It is not Cyber. Cybers doesn't exist yet. We gotta wait for Vrains for that, Mr. Cloud.
Damn it.
Be safe, everybody.